A coup d'etat in the USA by U.S. corporations was attempted in 1932. This is a fact. You will not read this in a history book or learn about it in any school. What really happened the day that our dearly beloved President John F. Kennedy was murdered has to be inferred by the reading between the lines, having the knowledge of the events of 30 years earlier. The one world government plot is a scheme that spans multiple generations of elite scumbags and is a hair's breadth away from being exposed. The brainwashed masses of social justice warrior libtards are beyond any hope of being redeemed or enlightened. We are the resistance. We stand at the edge of the precipice, and war against the invaders is our only hope of salvation. We will not win back, nor will we preserve this republic by engaging in debates, acts of hospitality, or policies of tolerance, ideas of diversity, or left-wing theology, and certainly not by tolerating 52 odd varieties of sexual paraphilias. Our only hope of survival is to adopt time-honored values and morals and ensure the law of the land is applied to everyone equally.
Hello, this is Dave from net4truthusa.com. It is June 29th, 2017. Welcome to another Covfefe with Dave. This is number 108. This morning, I want to talk about government coup d'etat. They are talking all over the internet about a soft coup that has happened under Donald Trump, the deep state trying to take over the Trump administration and trying to get Trump impeached, or even worse. I'm not even gonna go there. But I want to talk about a real coup d'etat that really happened in our government a long time ago. Let me put up my pad in my okay. This happened a long time ago, and it is not taught in American history books. It is not mentioned anywhere else that I know of on the internet or on YouTube or any social media, but it is empirical fact, and it is backed up by research that you can do on your own. It is a court case that happened circa 1932 with a attempted coup d'etat of the United States government, corporations trying to take over the government. Government run by corporations is otherwise known as Nazism. It's just, a make-believe government as far as the people are concerned, and the real government and real things that happen are controlled by the corporations. Corporatism is Nazism under another name. Now, I have to give you a little bit of background to understand what you're going to hear. There is a book that you can read. It's not one of my books, but I'll leave a link for you in the description, or if you go to my website, you will find it. The name of the book is called The Plot to Seize the White House by Jules Archer. Now, let me read you the commentary and the foreword from my website, which I will leave a link for you in the description. The Plot to Seize the White House. This book was written by the late Jules Archer, was almost immediately banned from the bookshelves by U.S. government and the corporate political powers that be, which are exposed therein. I lost my place here. And a few original copies remained in circulation. As someone who was involved in the military intelligence community during the Vietnam War, I can tell you that people have been terminated with extreme prejudice by covert operations for lesser offenses than Jules Archer committed by penning this singular work. For a while, copies of this book were unavailable, and the originals had become collector's items like scarce comic books, valued for their rarity, not their content. treasured for their value as rare and sold on eBay for hundreds of dollars in sealed plastic jackets, never to be opened or read again. When my good friend, the late Arthur Burnclough of Veterans for Constitutional Law, showed me a copy of this book that he bought on eBay, I was shocked by what I read. We felt that this book was important for every American to read, especially those among us that hold on to the belief that our government is a benevolent government and that politicians we allegedly elect to office have the best interests of their constituents at heart. And for a while, because we could not find a retailer for this book anywhere, we provided web versions for all to read free and PDF copies for download. Several other websites subsequently followed suit. We, along with several other websites, distributed the text of this book in order to preserve the content for the American posterity, and have since, as of 9/9/2013, been advised by Skyhorse Publishing that the book is now available. We have verified this and removed the free reading text from our website. However, the historical importance of this singular work is the reason we will continue to promote this great work. Enough said. This book will speak for itself. Its message is one that every American should read and receive with an open mind. What is contained within these covers is true. It is empirical fact. We have also reproduced below the original commentary from our website that explains why we believe this book should be read by every American who loves his country. Now, if you go to my website and the link that I provide below, you will be able to read this for yourself, and we have links to where you can purchase the original book minus my commentary, because my commentary is not in the original book. It was only in the reprint that we did once we discovered that the book was out of print and the author was dead and the copyright had expired. So let's make that clear. You're not going to read this in the book if you read the book. You're going to only read this on my website. It was in our reprint of the copyright expired book that disappeared, and that is no longer available. Okay, I'm going to start to read this, and you will get an idea of just exactly what's going on. Okay. On the website to the Webmaster's Corner, on the page that I will send you to in the link in the description, it's net4truthusa.com/plot to seize the White House.htm. Don't worry about memorizing it. The link will be in the description. On that page, you will find some text under the title, The Webmaster's Corner. And this was written in 2007 by yours truly and included in the reprint of the book that we made that is no longer available. You can only read this on the website. When I was a young boy, I am now 57. Actually, I'm 66 now, but I'm 57 when this was written. My late father, who was an immigrant to this country from the village of Trento, the town where the movie The Sound of Music was filmed, told me the story of his trip by ocean liner to the shores of this nation when he was a very young man. He quickly became a naturalized citizen and subsequently served in the U.S. Army's 100th Infantry in a fight against the dictatorship he feared and fled from. And that was almost 80 years ago. My father told me that as a young man, naive and inexperienced, he had a gut feeling about the Germans and the political rising star Adolf Hitler in particular. Well, everybody who's even picked up a history text knows the legacy that this demonically possessed madman left in his wake, and fortunately for him and for me, my father listened to his instincts and fled his native Austria while flight from the region was still possible. Little do the American people realize that the demon spirit of the Nazis is far from dead. The souls of some men, indeed the spirit lives on, and has contaminated this government. In fact, the White House is currently occupied by descendants of the same people who assisted, aided, and abetted the Nazis during World War II, and it doesn't take much research to find that out and validate it as empirical fact if you have access to the internet. Now we're talking about the occupants, the Bushes. The Nazi mentality sub nom, or under another name, has infiltrated our schools, our courthouses, our prisons, and has influenced the Supreme Court. Little and little, as Plutarch once said, it has infected our very thinking until we no longer think like the Americans of the America that once was. The America that once promised to be the shining beacon of freedom, that shining city on the hilltop that everyone sought to emulate. Because of our collective lack of vigilance, because we have allowed ourselves to become complacent in the acceptance of lies, half-truths, and outright propaganda, because we have not risen up in righteous anger against it, because we have not held individuals in the government responsible for protecting our God-given rights, we find ourselves in a post-9/11 state of denial, and in a condition that can only be described as spiritually dead and willingly ignorant. We believe that ignoring what we know in our hearts to be true, that the evil will just go away. We believe that just because we survived by doing nothing the first time, that the key to survival is to repeat our inaction. This subconscious mental reasoning is precisely the reason that an abused spouse cannot bring herself to end an abusive relationship and endures beating after brutal beating until ultimately she ends up being murdered by her abuser. The part of this site deals with a formerly suppressed book, The Plot to Seize the White House by Jules Archer. What is contained within its pages is as relevant today as it was the day the book was published, as important today, if not more so, for the American people to know that it was when the events therein described happened. The book is factual. The events actually took place. And if an attempt at a White House putsch did not then succeed, raises the question about the success or failure of subsequent attempts. Was the JFK assassination an attempt to again seize control of the White House? Did it also fail? Or were we just led to believe it was something else? Or that by not revealing the possibility that it never happened at all? Far be it from me to draw your conclusions for you. What I am doing here is merely presenting the evidence so damning and disturbing that the powers that be in the government have done everything in their power to keep you from learning of it. This book exposes one attempt in detail and illustrates to the reader something that perhaps is out of the realm of things one thinks about when pondering our constitutional republic. But the possibility that a silent coup d'etat in our own government happened exists nonetheless. There is an overwhelming collection of evidence to suggest that what we should fear most is not being revealed to us by the mainstream media, and indeed that the mainstream media is merely an extension of the forthcoming Techno-Nazi dictatorship that is still, as of this writing, in its infancy and cutting its teeth, so to speak, on the false flag operation terrorist attacks of 9/11. And the sad part is the American people, not knowing their history, are letting them get away with it all over again. Now, this was written in 2007, before all of this controversy with fake news and all of that stuff happened. There is another book on my website in the bookstore corner. It's called A Synthesis of the Russian Brainwashing Manual on Psychopolitics. Read that one. That was a book sent by an anonymous author, originally to the Church of Scientology and to several other places. And man, that was in 1950 that this thing surfaced. And if you read that book, it sounds like It was taken from some truther website. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a long road to hoe. The President of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump, I salute you. You have given up the most incredible lifestyle that you could have had. You could have bought your own country somewhere and lived a life of luxury and carefree living, had anything you wanted. But instead, you chose to save this country from the most evil, corrupt, lying scumbags that could ever be imagined. And it brings tears to my eyes, because Mr. Donald Trump, you are a true patriot. And we, the American people, the ones who still have a brain, the ones who can still think for ourselves, are behind you 100%. I, for one, will pick up a weapon if necessary and defend this country from all enemies, foreign and domestic. You can take that to the bank. This is Dave from net4truthusa.com. If you like these videos, please support us. Even $1 on Patreon makes a big difference over time. You won't notice it, but it makes a big impact on what we do here. And if we are to continue, and if we are to expand this effort and take it out of my living room and do something more with it, which I want to do, we definitely need your support. And if you contribute $100 or more to any one of those 3 venues, I will personally send you an autographed copy of my book, Land of Childhood's Fears. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for your support. We just went over 10,000 subscribers. We're looking for 100,000 by the end of the year. Adios.